Hey, this is Eric with Black Swan Odysseys. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new, Black Swan Odysseys is all about motorsports. Travel tour, bike review, equipment review, and more. Today's another great video. It's a ride tour up the Hoods Canal Highway, also known on the map as Highway 101. Hoodport is on, like I said, is the first canal side town that you run into. It was first settled by J.K. Robbins. I guess he was a ship captain. He's transporting up and down the canal lumber for numerous years before they actually kind of finally started there, making a town out of it. In the town, there's a couple of taverns and pubs. The one we stopped at was really good. And also the Hoodport coffee and ice cream shop is very popular. Every time we go there, there's always a waiting list to get in there to buy coffee or ice cream. So have you ever been on a longer trip, like a 4-day weekend or something, and the ride is all about getting to the destination where you're actually going to do the riding and overlooking your travel route to that destination? So I've ridden Highway 101, probably 6-7 times. And so this trip, it was kind of that thing. It was, let's get up there to the Puget Sound where we're going to ride around on the island. But then by the time I got to the Port Townsend area, it hit me that this is actually a pretty cool ride. And that's where I started some of my audio narration. And Port Townsend is one of 2 ferry ports to reach the San Juan Islands. The ride from Olympia is just short of 100 miles. It takes about 2 hours to reach Port Townsend. Highway 101, or Hoods Canal Highway, meanders along the western side of the canal. There is other choices. Traveling from south up, besides Port Townsend, you can go up to the next ferry point, which is Everett, Washington, which is on the north side of the Seattle-Tacoma area. Doing that is like mind-numbing traffic on an 8-lane freeway. There's just no gravity in that route. It just plain sucks. There's other ways you can go up in there. You can kind of go into the center portion of the western Puget Sound, which goes through Bremerton and across the Bremerton floating bridge, but it still kind of ends up in the same place, Port Townsend. And what I found with that ride, which I've done before, is you're kind of just going through farmland country. You don't have the views of the canal as much. So what I found with the Hoods Canal Highway, what it offers, really it's the most direct route on the map. It's got great views of the canal, numerous places to stop for food, gas, and if you want, lodging in the area. So overall, the road surfaces going up the Hoods Canal Highway are really good. It's a 2-lane road for the most part, and with the exception of a couple of passing zones. Although this year, this ride just happened to be going through the time they were resurfacing the highway, and so there's a big chip seal operation almost from Hoodport all the way up to the turnoff to Port Townsend. Chip seal, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the worst part is getting tar on your bike if you rode through it too soon. So a lot of people get freaked out by the loose gravel. I don't really find it's that big of a deal. You will see that I kept my speeds down. That's probably just being consideration with some of the other riders that was riding with me that probably didn't have the confidence of riding on this kind of surface. But overall, it's a great highway for a surface. There's not a lot of cracks. It's well maintained, no potholes or anything like that. So after we're passing through Shelton, The highway cuts from a 4-laner down to 2 lanes, and with, like I said, few designated passing lanes. And for cars, that means staring at the back end of an RV a long time. Fortunately for motorcycles, there's ample areas to pass. Hood Canal actually has a lot of obscure history. Like, for instance, the Robin Hood Village. There's actually a bunch of Robin Hood villages all over the country. But this one is kind of historic in the fact it was in 1934. It was created by Don Beckman, and that was the Hollywood set designer for the original Robin Hood movie starring Errol Flynn. Another interesting piece is Hoods Canal has the 4th longest floating bridge in the world. And then also, it has one of the only 2 sub-boomer bases in the U.S. A little bit of information about Hood Canal itself. Actually a fjord. Hood Canal is long and narrow with a width averaging about 1.5 miles, and it has a mean depth of 177 feet, so it's deep. Hood Canal extends for about 50 miles south from its entrance point down to around Tala Point, which is next to Union City, and then it turns sharply back northeast for another 15 miles before it ends at Belfair and the Tideland. Hood Canal received its name from Captain Vancouver when he was tracing the shoreline of the fjord back in 1792. And the canal term is actually a misnomer. Really, it's a fjord by definition. And it appears that the term canal just kind of took after Captain Vancouver naming it. The next little town that we come to is Quilcene, Washington, and this is kind of a great little halfway stopping point for motorcyclists. It was a farming logging town. Actually, way back in its day in the 1850s, it was thought to be was going to be a major smelting iron, copper, gold, and manganese port, mining ore out of the Olympic Mountains. But common theme here, little or no ore was ever discovered. And that was probably a good thing in the fact that if that was, it probably would have totally changed the whole landscape with all that mining and shipping of the ore. So a great place to stop in Quilcene is the Gearhead Deli. They really cater to motorcycle crowds. Unfortunately, it was closed during our ride through the area, so we didn't stop. Hopefully that's not permanent, but I've stopped there before in the past, and you'll see by the pictures, it's very modern and clean, and they've got great food and drinks. Moving farther up the canal is the Bangor sub base. It's really a kind of an obscure little interest, a little known about it, but it's actually a very strategically important base. Its full name is Naval Base Kitsap, Bangor. Go figure. It was established in 1942. It was a shipping munitions port for munitions heading to the Pacific Theater in World War II. And in 1973, the Navy announced it as the home port for the first squadron of Trident submarines. It's a big base. Active military duty personnel, about 15,000. Civilian employees, 25,000. Their family members, another 18,000. And retirees living there, 35,000. So it's a big base, just very obscure. Probably just the way the Navy likes it.
Well, welcome to Fort Townsend, Washington. So this is you come up off of Highway 90, Highway 101, turn on State Route 20, takes you into Fort Townsend. Fort Townsend's kind of an interesting little town. So back in the 1800s, they triangulated guns to protect the mouth of the Straits of Juan de Fuca going into the Seattle area. So there was gun emplacements here at Port Townsend on the other side, and then inland a little ways. And basically, the artillery shells could triangulate, cover the whole Puget Sound, so no foreign boats could come in undetected or get past the military. Used to be a fishing town. Now it's just a touristy area. There's still fishing here, but very little commercial. The Indians are the only ones that really fish it. Whale watching, it's a big thing in this town. And then also the ferry. So we'll be taking the ferry, and that's one thing nice about motorcycling here in the Pacific Northwest. You go up the Washington State ferry systems and right straight to the front of the line. One thing that I seem to never do is I never time my routes to the ferry. And it's kind of like, get there when you can. It's not like you have to wait in line. You see the Sound coming into view up there. One thing that Port Townsend does is they do a wooden boat fair, and right around this time of the year saw small wooden boats, rowboats, small sailboats down here in the waterfront. They've actually got a pretty good sized marina. Look at that old square rigger. David in front of us, one of our riders. Wonder who Libby is. So the historic part of Port Townsend is right up this road here. And you'll see some of the old houses on the, there's one right there as a matter of fact. But all those Victorian era homes are all along here, along this cliff. There's our ferry. You'll see a big long line of cars. That's a good sign. Hi there.
So from Port Townsend, we board a ferry and cross over to Whidbey Island, which is our destination for our San Juan Island rides. But that's other videos. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me track what's popular. Also, if you've ridden this route or ridden up in this area, let us know in the comments section. I'm always curious to see what other people have learned and experienced. Also, hit that subscribe button so you can get the latest video updates. And we'll see you on the next ride.